Hey there, it's Elka.
And Jen, and in this episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast, we are talking about how having a Zazzle business can help you live your dream life. And we are super passionate about saying that, creating a profitable and successful online Zazzle business can help you live your dream life because we have started to live our dream lives after we worked on Zazzle and figured out how to become successful. And also just that we believe truly that you're able to live your dream life. And we want you to take a moment to think about what your dream life actually means to you. When we say dream life, we don't mean luxurious jet setting around the world, having extremely expensive handbags and having all the expensive things. That may be your dream life. And if it is, that's wonderful. But at the same point in time, having a dream life can also be spending time with your family or your kids, or being able to garden whenever you want, or being able to actually buy the brand of groceries that you want instead of the no-name brand. There are so many different levels of having a dream life, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what makes you feel truly, truly happy and what makes you feel fulfilled and aligned with what you want to experience in life, right?
Exactly.
And how you want to live.
Yes, and that's what we've defined over the years as well. Is we first had this impression that I need to make this much money and then I'll be happy. But the idea is actually what will make you happy, and then you figure out how much money you want to make. And the fact that we as creatives, and you probably are as well, that we want to be aligned with doing something that we love, which is creative, and be able to make money doing it. But then what kind of money we earn is really, really important to us in terms of how we spend it. And that may, like Jen said, it could be making sure that you're home with your kids while they're growing up, which is what I did. Or Jen wanted to experience traveling the world. And so it didn't take that much money, but it allowed her that freedom and the time. And so this is all wrapped into what we're going to talk about today in terms of location freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, and creative freedom, so that you can do what you love and have your dream life right now, rather than waiting for when you make a certain amount of money.
Yeah, definitely. That was a really great explanation, because I think a lot of people think my dream life has to be so out of reach and I'll never be able to actually live my dream life. It's only just a dream. But dream lives can come true. You just have to actually define what makes you happy and how you want to live going forward. So the first thing that having a Zazzle business gives you is time freedom. Time freedom is extremely important because, especially nowadays with so many things going on and so many responsibilities that we have, being in a normal 9-to-5 corporate job or an office job or something that's considered normal. I said the word normal, but it's the society's vision of what people should be doing is actually very restrictive. You have to ask your boss if you can have time off for vacation, or if you're sick, you have to take sick days, or if you need to now take care of your children, or you need to go to a dentist appointment. So many things are restricted by the fact that you have to be in a physical space for physical amount of time, right? From 9 to 5.
In order to trade your time for dollars.
Yeah. And I personally had one job in my entire life. And after I had that job, I decided I don't want this anymore. There are so many things that I don't feel like I'm allowed to have because I have to ask permission from somebody else who is at a higher rank than me, or a higher level, or they've had more experience and they've been in the job more, which is totally perfectly fine. However, it just wasn't for me. And I wanted to be able to, go to the dentist and not have to be going to the dentist on the weekend when I want to be relaxing. I want to choose when I go to my dentist appointment. I'm saying that example because I think a lot of people can relate to that the things that people do during the week are determined by the fact that they have to be in a physical space.
Yeah, you have to squeeze your whole life into the weekend.
Yeah.
Or if you work on the weekends, you have to then always sacrifice the fact that you're not enjoying your family time or your friend time because you have to work on the weekends when everyone else is off. And the time aspect of running your own business online and having it as in this model that we always talk about, which is perceivable, passive, profitable. If you have a business that's set up that way with that framework, then all of a sudden life changes dramatically. like people still ask us, are you going to be free? Are you going to be able to take off time off work if we come to fix your pipes in your house or something like that? And it's like, yep, no problem. I'm here anyway. Or I can choose when I want certain things done, and I have the freedom, which is the freedom of time. But it's not just for the day-to-day stuff. It's also the time freedom to do things that are never going to come back. So, for example, we had to take care of my mom when she had her hip replacement done. That meant so much to me to be able to just be able to do that and not have to worry. And then also all the time that I spent with my kids. I know Jen was young once, but I would never trade that again, but I would have missed that if I hadn't made that decision to have an e-commerce online business, and I chose Zazzle, and have it done set up in a perceivable, passive, profitable manner. Because perceivable means that I have to believe that it's going to happen and it's aligned with what I wanted, which is to be creative, make money, and also to have the time freedom, which would allow me to be with my kids, pick them up from school, have lunch with them every day, go to their sporting events, go to their volunteer at school, do all the whatever they were involved in, theater and clubs and whatever else, or take them to their soccer games. Those things are things I would have never been able to do had I had a 9-to-5 job. And because of the freedom that it afforded, which is the time freedom, I was able to do that. And I didn't sacrifice the money freedom, the financial freedom, in doing so, because I had my Zazzle business working for me while I was enjoying life.
Yeah. And I actually just was thinking about it right now. If you are in a corporate job or you do have a 9-to-5 job, obviously these things sound like very, like you want them. These are something that you're striving for. And not that we're bragging or boasting that we were able to not do those things or do the things and that you're not able to. It's that we were inspired to make a change in our lives because we wanted to experience that time freedom. And now actually we teach and mentor and coach creatives to be able to take time off and create a perceivable, passive, and profitable business in order to get that time freedom that they're seeking. And there's no real right time to make a business or create a business. It only just feels right to you, that you are now deciding after maybe spending years in a corporate job that it's time for you to now make a change and make a difference so that you can start to enjoy the things that you're looking for and live your dream life the way that you want to.
Yeah, and it's not just for people who are in their 9-to-5 job. It could also be just you want a change of pace or life, or you want to retire early, or or you don't even want to start working initially. You just want to have your own business right from the get-go, right out of college or even out of high school. We have actually people, you can start a Zazzle business after the age of 13. Like that's when you can start. So start young if you want to. If you're listening to this and you're just turning 13, you can actually have your own online e-commerce business running for you. And imagine if even while you're in high school you made a little bit of money and then you started to put that away and save it, not just spend it all. You could be like retired by the time you're 25.
I know. Well, I didn't start that early because Zazzle didn't actually come, like it wasn't in existence when I was that young. But I started when I was 18 because Zazzle came out in 2005 and I didn't take it seriously until I was about 18, and I'm born in 1990. So I was 18 when I started on Zazzle, and I was working on Zazzle in university. And as I mentioned, I had one job, but that one job was just because I wanted to get some work experience because I literally had never had a job before. And I was actually working on Zazzle while I was in that job. And the reason why I was able to say, okay, never again, I need to do what I love and be creative, was because I actually built up my Zazzle business during that time when I was working. And so for anybody, no matter what age, what job you're in, you are able to create a Zazzle business and use it to your advantage to be having that time freedom, financial freedom, and creative and location freedom.
Yeah. So in terms of like financial, should we go into that?
Sure.
Well, the opportunities, first of all, are limitless. So depending on, like, it's not a matter of work harder and make more money.
Yeah.
It's also this really big mindset shift that you don't have to actually work as hard to make more money. As long as you do the works in a smart way rather than a hard way, and you start to see success and you build on that success. And so the opportunities in terms of your income are limitless. It's just up to you. And there's students who in our classes alone who have made 5 and 10K months, which means that, like, and Jen and I, we were at that point as well in terms of making those kinds of months. One time I made actually, I think, about 25,000 in 1 month. And so that was, even back then, I wasn't even like trying too hard with that. And so the key here is to make sure that you understand that there is an opportunity here if you want to take it and build your business up to make that happen for you. And then also, like I said, like it's a matter of doing the work, but then if you make that kind of money, no one's going to stop and say, no, you can't get a raise and make more money.
Yeah.
You can always still increase your earnings. And I love that part. It's like a challenge to me.
And talking about increasing our earnings, if you haven't listened to it, listen to the previous podcast because we spoke about why Zazzle is so amazing in terms of the product inventory and the possibilities of selling to multiple people internationally and literally having a limitless amount of customers based on your products. So that's why there's a possibility to literally have no income ceiling. No one's telling you, stop, you're not allowed to produce or sell anymore, or your boss is telling you you're not allowed to have a raise, because you're literally, it's just open to the entire world. Obviously, you have to create the products that sell and have the good business management and the good designs. But if you have a runaway amazing design and a bestseller, literally there's nothing stopping you from making a certain amount of money.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it came back to a time where I actually have a science background and I went to school and university for quite a long time. And so then when I was working in corporate, I expected to keep moving up the ladder and just keep making money. And that was the worst thing that someone could have said to me was my boss said, no, you have reached the ceiling of your ability to earn money in this company because of your education. So even though I had a PhD, I was still at my limit, and I had reached that limit so fast, and it wasn't nearly the limit that I wanted. I was like, what? And I would have to be at that limit for the rest of my life. It's like, are you kidding me? I wanted to make more because I spent so many years in school, and I wanted to make up for lost time, right? And so why was someone telling me that I had to accept that amount of money as my ceiling? And I didn't want that. And so no one's going to do that here. You can do it, make it as big an earning potential as you want. And I love that. Then the other thing that is really important about the financial is that it's an investment. It's like you're creating your stock portfolio, but it's because you're always getting royalties from these products, and you can make them once, and if they can actually sell year after year. Like Jen and I, we've sold products consistently for the last almost 10 years that we made, obviously, 10 years ago. And we made them once, did the work back then, and they consistently continue to sell. And so that means that they'll also be able to sell in the future. If everything keeps going the way it is, then there's always that potential that even years from now, we could still be selling those products. So a lot of people have used this as an investment because it's an investment of their time now, but then they're going to use the fruits of their labor later when they're busy doing fun stuff like being retired or not working anymore, even if they don't want to retire. And also it becomes something that you can give people as an inheritance. So people can take over your store or your Zazzle business after you pass away, which is not always a nice thing to talk about, but it means that this is some way to help bring the legacy to the next generation. And I love it too that, like with what I did with my kids, they all opened their own Zazzle stores. And Jen obviously is a really great example of how you can teach your children about business and finance and all the ways of running and owning your own business and being responsible by using Zazzle as a platform and then they can feel really empowered that they are in control of earning their own income and see a whole other side to how income can be generated.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I love that about the finance part of this, because it's such an amazing opportunity, and every parent should do that for their kids, to show them that. And it just gives them so much excitement, and they're so empowered.
Well, just for your kids, but then also for yourself too, right? Because if you don't have children or whatnot, you obviously are interested in making money online. And I wanted to bring it back to the point where you said at the beginning, where a lot of people are usually used to putting in hours for dollars. You're translating, or you're like trading, right? Hours for dollars. You're making whatever X amount of dollars an hour. And here you're working a certain set of hours, but then afterwards, after you worked that hour, if you made, for example, a product that, as you said, sold $25,000 worth or whatever, then you've literally worked a set number of hours, let's say 4 hours making one product, if that's what happened. And now you've made thousands of dollars within that those couple hours of you working. And
even though it's spread over a certain number of years.
Yeah. And so that trade of the hours to dollars is just like exponential, and it just keeps on growing if you're selling a good product, right? If you're making the sales, and you did the smart work, which is what we teach in our courses and our training and also coaching. But if you work smart, you don't actually have to work that hard. You just have to make sure that certain things are implemented, and those hours that you're putting in are much more efficient than if you were ever to work for hours and earn a certain amount of dollars per hour.
Physically you couldn't even earn that much money if you physically kept laboring in the way that you might be doing it right now. Yeah.
So that's what I love about it too, is that if you actually break it down and you think about the hours that you've worked for that one product, and that one product that's made you a certain amount of dollars, whether it even be 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, it's just mind-blowing to see that you could literally make $10,000 based on that one product, based on those 4 hours or even less amount of time that you spent making it, right?
Exactly. And that's that's the true financial thing, because where else can you do that besides, like, let's say the stock market? If you bought like an Apple share way back, and now of course it's worth so much more, that's the only other way that something could be exponentially increased so much, is basically your product becomes like a share in your investments, and it's earned dividends over time, which is your royalties. And we love that about Zazzle.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about location? And this is a great one for
Yoo-hoo!
Jen, because
location.
The reason that Jen loved Zazzle so much is because
I traveled. Well, I also moved over to live in Spain for about 10 years. And if you don't know my story, I met somebody, and they were from Spain, and they are from Spain still. And I moved over to live with them. And at the beginning of my Zazzle journey, when I first started out, we were doing a long distance relationship. And I was so happy that I had decided that I wanted to work on Zazzle and build up my Zazzle business, because it literally gave me the opportunity to go and visit him whenever I wanted, and to eventually move out there and live in Spain and be with him. And on top of that, when I moved to Spain, they were just coming out of their crisis. There was a lot of economic depression, and it was just very hard for people to get a job and to actually make money. And me being a foreigner, I didn't speak the language, and I didn't have any like official papers. I was just on a student visa, and like a visa for me to come there for a certain amount of time. I wasn't actually able to get a physical job there. And so having Zazzle and my Zazzle business gave me the opportunity to still make money, obviously then provide for myself and live and earn money and eat and have rent and all that. And it just opened up the world of possibilities for me to make that move. That's my story, but at the same point in time, it just gave me the opportunity to travel, to pay for my own way, like my own flights, and to sort of live the life that I wanted to live. And I was looking at my girlfriends from university, and they had all, physical jobs, and they were limited in terms of their travel plans, and they were always so jealous of the fact that I was able to travel whenever I wanted. And I
still
actually
make about the same amount of money that they were making.
Yeah, or even more, actually, because some of their job, like some of my friends from university, they were, in lower paying jobs than I had actually been making on Zazzle, and and I showed a lot of them how to create Zazzle stores because of that. But it literally was, no one else knew how to do it, and how I was even doing that in my space, within my girlfriend group, and even, our family members. They just were mind blown on the fact that we could make money and travel and not have to ask our bosses for time off, or be worried about, the fact that we were taking time off, so we would have to work extra or double amount of hours, or take away from our sick days, things like that. So when I first started out on Zazzle, the reason why I absolutely loved it was because of the location freedom. As long as there was internet and I had my laptop or a computer, I could do work on Zazzle, and I could make sure that I managed my Zazzle business, and then I was obviously creating a business that was successful. If you're not working on it properly and working smart, then you might not be making the amount of money to travel all the time. But the fact that you can literally be anywhere doing it, like you can right now be, we're in...
And yeah, that also means that anyone in the world.
Yeah,
can
anyone
do
in the
this.
world. So no matter what country you live in, you don't physically have to be traveling. And especially now with COVID happening, people aren't traveling. But you literally can be anywhere that there's internet and a computer, and you can start your online Zazzle business today. You don't have to be in North America. You don't have to be in an English-speaking country. You don't have to be anywhere specifically. As long as there's internet and your computer, you can open up an account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you brought in COVID, so that also means that like now, with all the issues with COVID, like either having to stay home and you're not able to do your physical job, or you've actually been laid off or fired from your physical job because there's the business shut down or whatever, because of COVID, or you're just worried about being out because of COVID and you don't actually want to be exposed to other people right now just because you have to work. Now this makes the location freedom even more necessary, because now Zazzle or any other e-commerce platform option is actually better than a physical location that you have to work in. And so we love that. Like basically when COVID hit, we were not affected by our business, and we were so grateful that we didn't have to like go anywhere, and we could still do our work and we could still earn money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's especially now that COVID it seems to be having a second wave everywhere, and who knows how it's moving forward. But and e-commerce is booming. The online space is just growing and growing, and so Zazzle as well is growing, and more people are shopping on Zazzle. And it's estimated that by the end of 2020, $4.5 billion will have exchanged hands in the retail e-commerce space, and that's supposed to go over 5 million. Sorry, I keep saying million, billion in 2021. So if there is ever a time in the history of the e-commerce space to start in the e-commerce business, especially on Zazzle, it's now, and it's a really great time to start.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So in terms of other location things, I think we covered most of them.
I think we
The main
did
thing
too,
is, like, I still remember, and I know this is like a really minor thing, but here in the winters that we experienced, I was always deathly afraid that I was going to get into an accident, because I had to always drive to work for about an hour and like one way. And so winters were really bad driving. There's always accidents. And also the fact that I had to physically get back in time to pick up my kids from daycare was stressing me out so much. And the fact when I started to do this online and stay at home, it was like, no, it's okay. Just have like 5 minutes to go up and get them from school. And it just took such a weight off. And I know it's such a small thing, but honestly, this is how your dream life becomes defined. Is your dream life is no longer commuting for 2 hours every day of your life, feeling more safe in terms of how you have to, conduct yourself and conduct your business in order to actually make money. How you can make money, like being aligned and being creative is such a joy in comparison to having to do a job that you don't really even like, but it makes you money. And so those things in itself are already my dream life. And the fact that then financially I'm much more free, and I've been able to do things like pay off my house and give my kids a really great education without them having any debt, that to me means the world. And it's not that I have like a Lamborghini or anything too fancy. It's just more those things, and now building up for retirement, which is awesome.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And in terms of like my dream life, when I first, I don't have a university degree. I dropped out of university in my second year and because I wasn't enjoying my program. And I was very deathly afraid that I wasn't going to get like a real job. Like no one would hire me because I didn't have any experience and I didn't have an education. And I always thought that I would never be able to make the amount of money that I wanted to make because I wasn't, in the cookie cutter type of person who move forward in the corporate world. And the fact that Zazzle gave me the opportunity to not only travel, obviously I loved that, but I was able to, pay my own rent. I was able to buy my own groceries. I was able to actually buy my own car without going into debt. All of these things in terms of like, as you said, the small life things that mean so much to you. I didn't have to worry about those things because I was making my own money, and I didn't have to worry about someone telling me, no, you're not able to make more money because you don't have a university education or you're not experienced and you haven't had 5 years of corporate or sales or whatever, because it's very scary sometimes when you're starting out, especially for my age. When I was 18, like life is this big unknown and you're deathly afraid of what's going to happen. And the fact that Zazzle gave me the opportunity to be creative, do what I love, and then also give me those sort of securities and not put limitations on what I can do going forward, that was my dream life. Not
yeah,
that
and we're also in like the recession in 2008 and 2009, and so jobs were really hard for anyone, let alone someone who didn't have a degree.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, and so it worked out really well, and it looks like this is a cycle that's happening again with COVID. Things are going to change, so this is maybe the opportunity for you to explore the Zazzle marketplace and that as a business opportunity for you to see whether that's going to be a good fit for you and make you actually live your dream life without worrying so much about all the external situations that are affecting your current life.
Mm-hmm. And plus it allows you to save up for those really great vacations too. I mean, we're talking about groceries and dentist appointments and all the boring stuff, but I mean, Zazzle has allowed us to do amazing things. We just literally, before COVID, we were traveling for 6 weeks in New Zealand and Australia because we had built up our Zazzle businesses, and we were allowed to take off that time without worrying about the fact that we're physically somewhere else. We don't have to be in an office job, that we were like our business is running for us while we're off having fun, snorkeling and going on amazing like tours and helicopters and all the like the luxurious side of things we've also done too.
Yeah.
But that's because we saved up and we knew that we wanted to do that, and we built our businesses to be successful based on certain strategies and making like working smarter rather than harder. Obviously that takes hard work, smart and hard work, but it's not trading hours for dollars like what we talked about. So yeah.
So well, thank you so much for listening and watching, and we will see you in the next episode.
Yeah, bye.